really been enjoying watching Agatha All Along this spooky season. Each episode has been a great addition to the story and to the MCU, especially the two most recent episodes, episodes 6 and 7, were stellar. And I can't believe there's only 2 episodes left that will be coming out tomorrow, dropping in a 2-part season finale, or series finale, I suppose. And I just can't believe it's almost over. It's been so fun. But since the last 2 episodes come out tomorrow, I really wanted to post about this theory I've been thinking about a little bit all season. After watching each of the episodes, this theory has kind of just like worked its way into the back of my mind. And at the end of most of the episodes, I was like, that's interesting, but I don't think it'll work. But after the end of episode 7, I am truly convinced that there is nothing at the end of the Witch's Road. So this video will have spoilers for episodes 1 through 7 of Agatha All Along, as well as significant speculation about episodes 8 and 9. So take that as your warning if you don't like spoilers or like to go into way too much detail before watching a show or movie, because that's what we do here. So a lot of this theory comes from the fact that I feel like a lot of the plot of Agatha All Along feels reminiscent of a couple of the stories from the Tales of Beedle the Bard. Up here, specifically, the Fountain of Fair Fortune is the big one, and then also a little bit the Tale of the Three Brothers. Now, I know not all MCU fans are obsessive Harry Potter fans too. There's quite a bit of overlap, but it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. So I'll have to give you a little bit of backstory about this before getting into the meat of my theory. And that means I will start by summarizing the 2 stories in question. First of all, the Tales of Beedle the Bard is an anthology of 5 different fairy tales or like fables that come from the wizarding world of Harry Potter. The 5 stories are The Wizard in the Hopping Pot, The Fountain of Fair Fortune, The Warlock's Hairy Heart, Babbity Rappity and Her Cackling Stump, and The Tale of the Three Brothers. Most people know about The Tale of the Three Brothers because it was in the 7th Harry Potter book, as well as in the film adaptation for Harry Potter 7 Part 1. But most people don't actually know the story of the Fountain of Fair Fortune unless they have bought and read The Tales of Beedle the Bard or listened to the audiobook. The audiobook, by the way, this is totally sidetracked, is quite good because each of the 5 stories is read by a different actor from like the Harry Potter movies or Cursed Child. And so like Jason Isaacs, I think, reads The Warlock's Hairy Heart. I think Bonnie Wright reads one, as well as Ivana Lynch, Jude Law, and I forgot her name, but the person who plays Hermione in The Cursed Child. I think those are the 5 actors they got to voice it. So it's really fun. But that's not what this video is about. Okay, so The Fountain of Fair Fortune, it is the 2nd story in the book, and it follows 3 witches, Asha, Althea, and Amata, and a knight, Sir Luckless. And they all show up to go on this journey to the Fountain of Fair Fortune, which allows 1 person per year to bathe in its waters and heal them of whatever, or I suppose it grants them good fortune forever, right? So all 3 of the witches came to the fountain for different reasons. Asha has an illness and wants to be cured from that. Althea is quite poor and wants to rid herself of her poverty. And Amata just experienced heartbreak and wants to heal herself from that. The 3 witches decided that if they were chosen, they would go together. So I think they held hands, and like one of them gets granted to enter, and they all enter together and catch on to the knight as well. So he joins in the journey. So, I mean, there's a picture of, at least from the book, them going on their journey towards the fountain. On the way to the fountain, they face some trials. I don't need to go into detail of all of the trials that they face, but the important thing is that their struggles and selflessness along the way as they face the trials are what truly heal them from their afflictions. So then when they actually reach the fountain, they decide, well, I think we're all good. They let the knight bathe in the waters. Look at the beautiful fountain. He also found happiness and kind of what he was looking for without the actual help of the fountain, and is mainly just happy to have found friends, and actually ends up falling in love with Amata, the witch who at the beginning was suffering from heartbreak. So everything's healed, right? So let me just read the last sentence of the story. This is after they have reached the fountain, the knight bathes in it, and they're done with their journey. The 3 witches and the knight set off down the hill together, arm in arm, and all 4 led long and happy lives, and none of them ever knew or suspected that the fountain's waters carried no enchantment at all. So everything from the journey to the fountain was what actually ended up healing them and not the fountain itself. And the theme of the story is that, like, personal growth and companionship are what actually bring the good fortune, and not just some catch-all fix from bathing in the fountain or what have you. Anyway, so that is the story of the Fountain of Fair Fortune, and I don't know if you could tell as I was describing it, but it does feel a little bit reminiscent of the story of Agatha All Along and the journey down the witch's road, with just they're trying to reach the end, they're facing trials along the way. Obviously, Agatha All Along takes more of like a darker, spookier vibe, whereas this is like, it is also about witches, but it's Harry Potter, so it takes more of like a fairy tale vibe. And so I have been thinking about this for a while and how it could have some parallels that can kind of help theorize about the end of Agatha All Along. But before I get into more details about the theory, I am also going to talk a little bit about the tale of the three brothers, which I do feel like you guys are probably more likely to know a little bit more about that story since it was in Harry Potter 7. But just a quick recap, the tale of three brothers is a story about three brothers. They go to cross a river, Death is waiting for them, but they build a bridge, and Death gets mad at them for using their magic to escape his clutches. So Death meets them on that bridge. Death is tricksy though. He decides, well, if I can't have these people's lives now, maybe I can figure out a way to, you know, bring them back to my clutches, but he doesn't say that. He's tricksy. So he goes, good job at defeating me. I want to give you each a gift. And so lets each of the three brothers choose some fancy magical gift that he can provide them with. The oldest brother wants power. And so he decides he wants the most powerful wand ever, and so Death gives him the Elder Wand, the unbeatable wand that is said that it can't lose in a duel. The second brother has a fiance who died, and he longs for that lost love, and so he asks for something that has the power to bring back people from the dead. So Death gives him the Resurrection Stone. And then the youngest brother, who is stated to be the most wise of them all, wants something to be able to hide from Death, and so Death gives him the Cloak of Invisibility. The brothers go their separate ways, and in the end, the first two, who are motivated by power, and actually the second brother kind of wants to humiliate Death further, I believe it says, by having the chance to bring back the dead. Those two, whose motivations were not as great, end up soon meeting Death because of the gifts that they were granted. The man with the Elder Wand becomes super powerful, but he becomes a target, so someone kills him in his sleep to take the Elder Wand. The one with the Resurrection Stone uses it. His fiancée comes back, but she's not fully back, and so it just convinces that man to follow her into death. And so the third brother, the wisest brother who asked for the Cloak of Invisibility, ends up being the smartest one, who ends up living a long life, and then when he reaches the end of it, is humble and takes off the Cloak of Invisibility, passes it on to his family, and greets Death as an old friend. And there's, I believe, his grave. So this has a little bit less clear connections to Agatha All Along, but the fact that we do have a personified Death, which was confirmed in episode 7, the thing about Rio being deaf is I got it kind of spoiled by Fungo. And so I've known this like the entire season, but I've been like, what does that even mean? And even now they've revealed it, but it's still like, what does that even mean? Except for the fact that she said, all roads lead to me. I think that's the correct quote. I might have had a few words off in that. And so I think there is a really strong connection between Death, the character, and the Witch's Road. And so that's why I kind of wanted to combine the idea of these two stories to create this theory for what's going to happen in episodes 8 and 9. So now to the theory. There is nothing at the end of the Witch's Road. Because of the fact that this story felt so reminiscent of the Fountain of Fair Fortune, I was like, it would be really interesting if, at the end of the Witch's Road, that isn't actually what grants what's missing. And that maybe in not as clear a way where, like, in the Fountain of Fair Fortune, the journey does indeed heal these witches of all of the afflictions that they were specifically wishing to be healed from. Perhaps it's not as clear-cut as that in Agatha All Along, but I really like the idea that when they reach the end, which clearly they're going to reach the end, at least Agatha is gonna reach the end, Billy's gonna reach the end, not 100% sure about the others. When they reach the end, they are going to be met by someone or something that is going to confirm that they're not actually getting a catch-all fix to their problems. There's nothing to actually heal them here. And it was the journey and the trials that led them there that could have actually done something, but it's not really as helpful as, you know, the trials in the fountain. One of the things early on that kept shutting me down about this theory is that it was stated that Agatha has walked and made it to the end of the road before. But after episode 7, this is what really convinced me that this has to be the case. Because Billy said, now I wonder if you've even been on the road at all. Which means that maybe Agatha has never even been on the road. However, I think that she has been on the road, but never actually made it to the end. And this would actually make her the only known survivor of the Witch's Road. Which is what it said on that, like, Bruhapedia page, that she's the only known survivor of the Witch's Road, but she didn't make it to the end. Which also means that no one's made it to the end, and that means, do we even know what is at the end? And it's nothing. The other thing, too, about this is that this show is also pretty reminiscent of The Wizard of Oz, traveling down the yellow brick road to get to Oz and meet the wizard. And at the end of that road as well, it wasn't what they expected. The wizard ended up being a huge, huge fake and granted them their wishes, but not really in a true way. Like, he helped them, but it wasn't really what they wished for in the beginning, because he didn't have any power to actually do what they wanted. So when they reach the end of the road, I am like 100% certain it is not going to be what they expect. But also, I'm fairly certain that it's just nothing. Like, obviously, you know, there's probably something there, because, you know, an end has to have something to exist as an end of the road, right? It's not just gonna drop off. But, like, it's not gonna be something or someone to grant each of them whatever wish for finding whatever is missing, right? The thing is, too, while I was writing this video, that is when I started realizing the parallels with the tale of the three brothers. And again, that quote from Rio/Death, that all roads lead to me in the end, I am sure that she is what's going to be at the end. And so really what the road is doing is leading them all to death. Whether that comes earlier or later, it has come earlier for a few of them, sadly. But at the end, if they get to the end, they won't actually have a chance for their wish to be granted. They're just gonna die. You know. Love that. Back to the fact that a pretty important part about the Fountain of Fair Fortune is that the trials along the way is what healed them from their afflictions. I think that the Witch's Road kind of does that a little bit. And so I mentioned that as well, like, if they hadn't had their chance to be healed in their trial, then they won't get it at the end of the road. They do have a chance to get what's missing from the trials. And that's what the trials are for. I know they're not the kindest of trials, especially since most of them have led to a death of a member of the coven, but the trials are where the power lie in the Witch's Road. And so I think the way to get what is missing and be a survivor of the road is in fact to face the trial and then realize that that is the thing that grants the wish and dip out. I mean, Lilia hadn't faced her trial yet when they were met with the subway, but perhaps, like, if Jen had left at that point, she could have left. Although that does bring up another question of, well, did they actually get what they wanted from the trials? And I'd say kind of yeah. This is a little bit back to the Wizard of Oz, like that, where they're not getting the full extent of what they originally came on the road for, but they are finding something that is missing. So, 1, the first trial, that was Jen's trial. It was about creating a potion, an antidote to the poison. And while Jen came on the road to get her power back, that isn't what she got, but she did gain confidence that she is able to succeed without lifting that binding spell. So, like, what's missing isn't necessarily her power, but her confidence in herself as a witch. Trial number 2, when they sang Yen, I'm so sorry if my cat is in the background, I still need to feed them breakfast this morning. Trial number 2 was the one where they sang The Witch's Road, awesome, was Alice's trial, and what she wanted was to know what happened to her mother. And again, it kind of granted her wish in a little bit different of a way, but this one was actually pretty great because it allowed her to do more than what she originally wanted. She originally just wanted to know what happened to her mother, which she found out, but she also was able to defeat the curse that had been placed on her family, which is more than what she expected. And so that missing knowledge was granted by that trial, as well as, I guess, freedom from the curse was missing. I was like, getting rid of the curse isn't finding something that's missing, it's removing something that's an affliction, but, you know, freedom from the curse was what was missing, and that was granted as well through that trial. The third trial was the one with the Ouija board, and that was Agatha's trial, and we all know she's looking for her power. Well, did she not steal Alice's power because of the events of that trial? It's kind of twisted, but that did happen. Like, she's had minuscule amounts of power return. Granted, there's been no indication that, like, that's something that has stayed, because doesn't the Witch's Road kind of dampen all power? So that's that. But I bet that returned a little bit of power. Not what she really wanted, but it's there. Trial 4 was Lilia's trial with the tarot. And in that trial, this is the most clear one. She didn't realize before what was missing, but she realized during the trial that what was missing was her sisterhood, her coven. And she found that as a part of traveling the Witch's Road, and she realized that as a part of her trial. So again, granting what's missing during the trials. The thing is, though, that for many of these people, the trials then end in death, going back to how this relates to the tale of the three brothers as well. That unlike the Wizard of Oz, where the gifts are really not exactly what they want because of the wizard's incompetence, I think that the trials have been designed by death to keep everyone on the road to lead them straight to death if they don't meet it in the trial. So each trial is like a double-edged sword where, one, it does have the capability of granting what's missing to whichever witch it is focused on, but two, also has a great probability of ending the life of one of the witches, whether it's the one facing the trial or not. Actually, in this case, Lilia's was the only one where it ended up killing the witch that the trial was for. But then as they continue on the path, they are still being led straight back to death. So no one's gonna survive. No, it's a story. They're gonna survive, of course. One more thing to really convince you is something I noticed in, I believe, the mid-season trailer. I did not notice this 2 weeks ago when I reacted to the mid-season trailer, was there is a clip of Agatha saying, like, give me what I want or something. I could be misquoting that. Let me show it here. But I think that is when she gets to the end of the road and realizes that there's nothing actually there for her. So yeah, there's my theory that this story is kind of like a dark mix between The Fountain of Fair Fortune and The Tale of the Three Brothers. There's nothing at the end of the Witch's Road except death. The trials have the opportunity to grant what's missing, but they're still leading everyone straight to death. Anyway, that is it on my theory. Thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this theory. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you can think of that supports this theory? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe, which you can do by clicking over there, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post again. While you wait for more videos, you can check out some more from my channel. Up top is my trailer reaction for the mid-season Agatha All Along trailer, and underneath that is a playlist of all my MCU videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!